This is Miami All Access.
Obviously, another close game for us. Thought that we actually matched up better toe-to-toe going up against Akron than maybe I thought looking on tape. I was maybe a little surprised. I thought there was maybe a bigger gap in their explosiveness. I think up front, defensively, they have some really special athletes that at times cause us issues. At times we did a pretty good job on them. But I thought the rest of the teams, we matched up pretty good against a team that I think is going to win a fair amount of MAC games this year. I think from my standpoint as a program, I think we're excited that I think we're closer as we keep going into these MAC games than maybe we thought going in. As our kids continue to improve and get bigger, stronger, and faster, I think we'll continue to be able to go toe-to-toe with these teams at a quicker rate than maybe I thought initially going into the year. I keep being surprised at how our kids hold up. The game unfolded kind of how I thought. I thought it'd be more of a defensive battle, although it was 15-13 at half. I thought it might even be lower scoring than that. I thought our defense, our kids are working hard to become students of the game. It's their weakness. As far as just understanding football and understanding situations. It's reared its ugly head against UMass in the first half. It seems like we have to see something, and every week the team's going to give you a wrinkle or two that you haven't seen. That's just standard football, and our kids typically have to see it before they adjust. Where Saturday they actually handled everything that Akron. We played with more alertness, played with more aggressiveness. Jarrell Jones took a huge step forward. He plays so hard for us. He's all over the field, but he just a lot of times has been a little bit slow reacting because of confusion, and he was alert, and he made a bunch of plays for us and run and pass and just seemed confident, looked like the player that we thought he could become, so hopefully he can keep progressing. And a number of other guys were alert and aggressive and looked like they really were sure of themselves. I thought Marshall Terrell played more confident, so I thought there was a step forward defensively. They had some tough situations on some short fields because we had a hard time moving the ball at times. Offensively, we couldn't run the ball as much as we'd hoped, but we got to keep plugging away at that. And then we threw the ball very effectively in the first half, and obviously we're 15-13 and a half and feel very good. We get a stop, and then we have a critical fumble, and we can't fumble the football. We just can't. We're not good enough. No one's good enough to overcome turnovers. We're certainly not good enough to overcome turnovers, and we had 3 of them all in the second half. And if we don't have 3 turnovers, I really truly believe we're going to win that football game. But we did have 3 turnovers, and our defense held up well, trying to keep us in it. But the 3 turnovers the second half, and then we had 2 penalties on offensive pass interference. That one stopped a drive where we had first down at their 45, and the other one we're going to have first and goal at the 1. And again, we're not good enough to overcome drive-stopping penalties. So those were, between the fumble and the 2 penalties, that really were huge swings in the outcome of the football game. And we're close, but we're not good enough to win those games yet, and we got to keep figuring out how to win. But we also got to keep figuring out how to get better at every position, because it's not just so much figuring out how to win, but just keep improving to the point where we can win these games, not just be within 7 or 10 points. So I think Akron's a pretty good team. I think they're more established where they're at. But I think we're coming. I think our kids are going to keep coming, and we're going to keep improving, and we're going to find a ways to win a couple of these games down the stretch.
I know just, again, talking about improving in certain positional areas. Again, Hendricks getting sacked 9 times. I mean, that's got to be a tough spot when, in addition to the penalties, you're losing 10 yards on a second and short.
Yeah,
is that
and
an area you're addressing as well?
Yeah, it's a continual area to address. The issue is if you can't run the ball enough, you can't take losses in the pass game. You can't turn over the pass game, which he's thrown 1 pick in the last a bunch of attempts. So, but his 1 pick was bad Saturday. He should never. It's 3rd and 28. He should drop the ball down, and we should punt the ball. But part of the issues was credit to Akron that they have some good pass rushers. There's no doubt. So you don't want to ever take. I mean, it wasn't like I'm watching the tape and thinking we didn't manage our protections, and particularly Andrew. Some of the sacks are on him, not based on what he did in the pocket, but based on he didn't get the protections right. And they did some nice things, but there are looks that we knew they were going to get. And most of the time, You know, when you get 9 sacks, you put a lot of it on your protections. To me, I would say it was more on our quarterback of managing our protections and actually our guys blocking. And we did physically get beat sometimes, and our back got physically beat at time. But most of the sacks were really on our management of how we were trying to protect him. And Andrew's done a great job of that, but he didn't have his best day Saturday. And we're not good enough to put our guys up front and compromising positions. So it's a full team effort, and Andrew physically played a wonderful game for us. Made a bunch of throws, hung in there, always gets hit, and you know, takes a lick and it keeps on ticking. But his management of our offense and has, you know, like I told him, I said, you got quite a burden, but that's where we're at right now. We don't have enough around you with the run game that you're not going to have this burden. So if we're going to throw it as much as we're having to throw it, even though we want to run it more, he's got to manage the protections better and give our guys up front a better chance.
I was just curious how you came out injury-wise. I know Spencer went out late against some other guys.
Yeah, nothing major, which is good. We have some guys that kind of are day-to-day right now, and sometimes the scary things, those day-to-day turns out to be that they don't play the next game, but nothing major. We got some guys that are nicked up, but again, we're more hopeful to be getting guys back. We played without our starting tight end, our starting tailback, and our starting center, which, again, are 3 of our better football players. And you take out Welch and Daywan, you know, those are major weapons for us. You know, so it's just, we're hopeful to be getting guys back this week, not losing more is the hopeful. We can use them back.
What have you seen so far from NIU?
Offensively, big and physical up front, really experienced offensive line. As good, I haven't seen all the offensive lines, but right now they're as good as I've seen in this league and better, and significantly better than a lot of them. And obviously they've run the ball at will they're obviously, I know they lost last week and you can't win them all, but they've been the marquee program, you know, along with the Toledos and then BGs, and OU's been pretty good and Ball State's been pretty good, but they've been the marquee program, obviously, for our league, and you can tell by their recruiting. They are fast, big, athletic everywhere on the football field, and that's what the best teams in the league look like. So real experience up front. Obviously losing Lynch, and Hare's playing very well, but obviously you're losing a guy that was up for the Heisman Trophy. You know, it's not a knock, because Hare's numbers in the pass game are good and he's run effectively, but they're not running Hare 35 times like Lynch. You know, there's games last year Lynch had the ball 35 times and no one could tackle him, and you know, he was so Hare's still running effectively, but he's had games with 6 carries and 5 carries and 7 carries, versus Lynch seemed like he was either throwing it or running every single snap. So a little bit different from that standpoint, although they're still doing similar things. Bunch of skilled wideouts that can make plays, you know, good tight ends. They're pretty good everywhere. That's why their record's been where they've been. They haven't lost many home conference games in a long time. So unfortunately, we're getting them probably not the right week, where they're probably pretty ticked. I was hoping like they would be feeling good and don't think we're very good and overconfident. So. And then defensively, big physical down, 300-pound inside kids, run stopper, pusher pockets, defensive ends and outside backers, dynamic, electric, kind of like what we've seen with Akron, Cincinnati, Marshall, Michigan, just dynamic edge, explosive guys, and then really fast on the back end. They got a bunch, even when they go nickel and dime, they got a lot of really good athletes that have played a lot of football. So there's a reason they're where they've been, and they're very talented and they do a good job, and you know, they've had stability in coaching. Even though coaches left, they've hired from within, so it's not like major overhaul when it comes to systems. You know, you hire your offensive guy, you keep running the same system, and you kind of don't skip a beat. So they're an exciting team, and they're a good football team. And I'm excited to go there on the road and see how we match up against arguably the best team in the league. I don't know how it's going to unfold this year, but obviously they're one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league. So for us to take our show on the road for the 5th time in 6 weeks, this is a great challenge for us, and I'm kind of excited to see Week 8, 1-6 on the road at Northern Illinois. What do we got? You know, where are we at mentally, physically? How? Because we're going to have to obviously fight our tails off to. You know, and we've been home for UMass, or that we haven't been home for a long time. So, it's to me, it's an exciting challenge for us, and I think I'm hopeful we're going to be up for the challenge.
Does that become a grind for the guys? 5 out of 6 on the road. I mean, it's nice because it's repetitive. It's the same routine every week. Does it become a grind?
Yeah, no, there's a reason teams win a lot more games at home than on the road, and playing on the road is tough and travel's tough, and we enjoy it, or I enjoy it. I don't know if our team enjoys it yet. We'll eventually enjoy it. I like being on the road. I like being at home, but I like the challenge of being on the road. I like that they got a big hostile crowd and how you handle that, and we need to keep playing. We need to keep getting better. We really feel like we are getting better, but we need more games. I wish we had played a 20-game schedule this year, and tough games on the road. That's how we get better. That's how we improve. That's how we get our program where we want. So the more challenges, the more obstacles, the more they got to fight. But college football season is a grind. You're talking 12 games plus a bowl game. And the grinders, are the ones that still are there at the end of the year. And the programs that can't grind are the ones that typically fall off at the end of the year because we're all beat up. We all have injuries. So you got to get that mentality that you just got to keep plugging away, and you got to be determined to get better every week and not, learn from last week, but you got to move on quickly, and you got to keep working on your weaknesses and try to improve those from a player and coaching standpoint. So I think, again, I think we're close. I thought going on the road against Akron was a good challenge. We'll see how Akron finishes out, but I thought that was a good challenge. I thought we were in a position, we get the one where we're first and goal on the one, and we don't get the penalty, and we punch in. It's 21-19. I think we're right where we, on the road at Akron, I think we're right where we want to be. You're 21-19 late in the third quarter, against a team that beat Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago at Pittsburgh, and you're feeling, and not all the plays are going away, but they're pretty good. So we knew it was going to be a back and forth type game. So, but again, that's where we're at, and we'll keep plugging away.
Kind of a bad luck of the draw for you, too. Not only do you have all these games on the road, but you get probably two of the worst road trips in the MAC, going to Buffalo and then going to Northern Illinois. I mean, that even enhances the challenge, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're all, none are too bad, but this is a little longer trip, not quite as bad as Buffalo, but again, for me, it's a welcome challenge for us at this point. We're not in a position we're playing for a MAC championship at this point in our regime at Miami. We're going to get to that point, but so our growth is, people made a big deal out of Michigan throwing the ball and kicking field goals. I thought it was great. We got to play. Just let us keep playing. It's not, we're a work in progress, and the only way we get better is by playing. We don't get better by people going easy on us or not, So I'm sure Northern's going to try to take it to us pretty good this week after losing at home to Central, and they haven't done that in a long time. So, and Central's got a nice little squad, but we need to play and have challenges, and for us to see what it looks like, going on the road against good teams, and these are the teams that are at the top of our league, and then the kids know, and then we go in the offseason, we know that's what it looks like. This is how far away we are. What's that distance? We're still trying to sort out what that distance is. I'm pleasantly surprised that we're not near as far as away as what I watched on tape a year ago. I watched a lot of games that weren't very competitive within the league, and now I'm sitting there feeling, and as the games go on, I think we're all feeling like, hey, Saturday I didn't feel like we were, outmatched. I felt like we were right there. I think Akron's a better football team, that's no doubt, but I don't think they're that much better that if things could have went our way, we could have won a football game Saturday. So I think our kids feel that. I think the kids are starting to realize, hey, let's just keep pushing. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep getting better, because maybe we're not as bad as what everybody thinks we are.